Hello and welcome to another episode of my Facts and Glitches series, where I continue to showcase more of what I've learned about GTA 5 in my over 14,000 hours of playing the game and from my awesome viewers. On the Brioso 300, if you apply the full top-down modification to the roof, the rear window will be visually removed, but you can still damage the window, and the cracked or remaining shards will float in place until the window is repaired. Additionally, if you throw a sticky bomb where the roof should be, the sticky bomb will repeatedly attach and unattach in a very glitchy way. This will continue until they're removed or detonated. Additionally, with the right combination of modifications, you can remove both license plates, making the vehicle no longer street legal. With specifically the wide body variation of the Brioso 300, if you apply a modification that swaps the engine to the front of the vehicle, when the vehicle takes enough damage, the smoke and fire that emits from the engine will still come from the back of the vehicle, despite the engine now being in the front. Did you know that Franklin was supposed to catfish Brucie?
Well, you're creepy and weird, and that's why I love you!
This was in a deleted mission named Social Networking that was originally going to be the first mission where we steal a car for Devin Weston.
Ha!
Franklin was going to get a picture of a hot girl and set up a LifeInvader account for her. He would then send messages back and forth with Brucie, pretending to be the hot girl, which would then result in them scheduling a date. Franklin and Trevor would then pay a call girl to go on the date with Brucie. When they were together, Trevor would burst in to take incriminating photos to upload onto LifeInvader. This, of course, was to simply act as a distraction for Brucie, so that Franklin could then steal his car. Despite the removal of this mission, Brucie's red Stinger with the license plate Alpha Dog can still be seen loaded onto the truck in the mission Pac-Man.
Boss man's happy!
When checking out your vehicle stats on the Rockstar Games website, the vehicle's action image will feature one of the three protagonists driving the vehicle when looking at the story mode stats, and a random GTA Online character when looking at the online stats. However, the action image for the Bugster variation of the classy Burrito will still feature Franklin driving rather than an online protagonist in the online stats. If you fancy some attention from a lady of the night, and you pick them up in a vehicle with a low roof, they'll only offer you a blowjob. This is obviously because there's insufficient interior space to have intercourse. So trust her when she says it's not you, it's just the car. The description of the Albany Roosevelt Valor mentions taking you back to the golden age of fraud, racketeering and murder, when all you had to worry about were a few charges of tax evasion. This is a reference to the infamous mobster Al Capone, who owned a 1928 Cadillac 341A Town sedan, which is what the Roosevelt Valor is based off. He was charged with 22 counts of tax evasion and was convicted of 5 of the 22 counts in 1931, which resulted in a sentence of 11 years in federal prison. In the 2023 San Andreas Mercenaries update, Rockstar controversially removed 195 vehicles from being able to be purchased. However, since then they have been slowly restoring them and giving each of them missile lock-on jammer compatibility. So far, 74 vehicles returned permanently. 1 in the Bottom Dollar Bounties update, 27 in the Agents of Sabotage update, 27 in the Money Fronts update, and 20 in the A Safe House in the Hills update. An additional 5 of these removed vehicles were made limited time specials for the Valentine's Day, Independence Day, and Halloween annual events. No specific reason has been given as to why these vehicles were removed and then re-added. Our favorite radio host Lazlow unsurprisingly has at least 6 criminal charges on his record. In 1994 he was arrested for stalking, in 1998 he was arrested for forcible touching, in 2001 for bribery, in 2002 for public lewdness, in 2004 for another bribery charge, and lastly in 2005 for public indecency. Sadly, the records of these charges can only be seen in GTA 4, as there is no way to gain access to any criminal databases in GTA 5. As GTA 4 was set in 2008, we do not know for certain if he has since been charged with additional crimes. However, in GTA 5, we get a slew of allegations against him. On Bleater, people accuse him of jerking off in traffic, which he shoots down by saying, "That camera phone video is fuzzy, it could have been anyone." Although from the mission Fame or Shame, we know Lazlow does actually do this.
I can't stop jacking, dude. I jack it in traffic.
Additionally, on the talk show Chatosphere, his co-host accuses him of blackmailing the studio executives in order to keep him on the air.
Man, you must have some amazing pictures of whichever executives you're blackmailing.
Lazlow also mentions that supposed lewd photographs were leaked of him.
Your producer calls you up, someone made up some pictures that seem to show you, being spanked in a brothel. That's not true, they could put my head on any dude's body.
Time will tell if we see more of Lazlow's exploits in GTA 6. The convenience store chain 24/7 is directly influenced by the popular in real life convenience store chain 7-Eleven. This is fairly obvious given that the logos have a matching orange, red and green color scheme. It was in fact even more obvious in GTA San Andreas, as the logo was the number 24 with the word 7 written through it. This is like how 7-Eleven has the number 7 with the word 11 written through it. It's surprising how few people wear bulletproof helmets in GTA Online, considering they actually offer you protection. While wearing the bulletproof helmet, you can take 2 gunshots to the head and or face before being killed. Although if you're shot with armor-piercing rounds, the helmet will not protect you. This house called LF House 07 in the game's files may appear insignificant, but for some reason, Rockstar took a liking to it. Not only are there 3 identical copies of this house in the area, but the house was also focused on in the very first trailer for GTA 5. The Buen Vino road has some timed events that few people would ever notice. Between the hours of 7 PM and 7 AM, you can see a Meriwether security dilettante patrolling the vineyard. After its shift is complete, you can see it pulling out onto the road. On the same road intermittently between 8 AM and 6 PM, you can find 2 NPCs racing their bikes, starting from the connection to Route 68 and with the finishing point at the vineyard. Upon reaching their destination, they dismount their bikes and have a cigarette. The Chinese restaurant in Sandy Shores has confusing opening hours. All the signage on the building states that they are open 24 hours, except for the fence at the back that says they are open from 10 AM to 8 PM. It's unclear if Rockstar made an actual mistake, or this is just meant to be outdated advertising material. However, if you go to the restaurant outside the hours of 10 AM and 8 PM, the lights and the open sign will be on. Although the Karin 190Z only has 2 doors, the interaction menu's vehicle door, rear right and rear left buttons can still be used, and they open some small panels on the side of the vehicle. Perhaps at some point it was meant to hold a pair of guns. There are 50 possible passwords in the brute force hacking software that you use throughout GTA 5 and online. These passwords include sexual references, references to the mission, general computer terms, as well as mockery of weak passwords. In the same way that Simeon is a legitimate businessman, he's also a legitimate gentleman as well. As specifically Franklin after the mission Bury the Hatchet, if you check Simeon's LifeInvader page, you can see that he went on a date with a woman named Barbara Watkins. He thanks her for the date and apologizes again for forgetting his wallet, to which she responds, "Stop texting me, I never want to see you again." How very relatable. Out of all the strangers and freaks that we meet around Los Santos, Barry and Mary Ann are the only 2 that meet all 3 protagonists. Michael and Trevor meet Barry at Legion Square, where they shoot aliens and clowns, while Franklin meets him in front of the 10-cent theater, where he is told to get a truck full of weed.
This is tyranny by morons.
Mary Ann is met at different locations to race each character. Michael has a foot race, Trevor has a bike race, and Franklin has a triathlon.
Sounds like you got way too much time on your hands.
F you!
The ballistic armor has a secret curse, at least some of the time. In GTA Online, if you enter any water that triggers the swimming animation, you will instantly die and the armor will be destroyed. Interestingly though, things are different in single player. We only get to use the armor during the Pleato score, and during this mission if you take the time to bring the characters to the water, they can swim as normal. In the bar resupply missions in GTA Online, if one or both of the rear doors of the van close, the rear of the van will begin to float. How high depends on your FPS. If you have high FPS, your van could be fully vertical, while at 30 FPS, you might not even realize that the rear of the van is actually slightly lifted. Obviously, the best solution to this glitch is just to cap your FPS temporarily, because after you drive the van for a little while, it will stop floating. There are 18 different weapons that you can find across the GTA 5 map of Los Santos, which feels like wasted effort on Rockstar's part, as many people play through the entire game and not pick up a single one. Surprisingly, grenades have the most spawn locations at 27, with the pistol and SMG coming in second with 21 locations, and the crowbar coming next with 18. The amount of spawn locations for the weapons doesn't seem to have any consistent logic, as for example, the micro SMG has only 1 spawn location, and that spawn is in the ocean. The canvas on the roof of the barracks that covers the bed of the truck is surprisingly considered a part of the vehicle itself. This means you can damage the entire truck by shooting at it. Despite that there are no beavers or bears in GTA 5, there is a sign in the Lago Zancudo area that mentions bears and beavers are in the area. Warning, please do not feed the bears or any wild animal. It's not like these animals were cut content, there's no evidence in the files that they were ever intended to be in the game. Whenever Michael is wearing the Epsilon robes, he will surprisingly talk to himself about his own beliefs in regards to the Epsilon program.
I got a cloud empire and a planet. And I'm a king, like everyone else. Trees talk, but they're not very interesting. Would these trees just shut up? Hey, I'm self-actualizing over here. Maybe I'm so scatty because I'm 47,000 places at the same time. Oh, brother. What have I got myself into?
To be clear, he always does this, not simply on the mission where he's required to wear the outfit. In GTA 5, you can occasionally find homeless people that are holding signs that can showcase a variety of messages. One of these signs says, "Serbian bad guys stole all my money, please help." Many people want to see this as a reference to Nico and Roman Bellic from GTA 4 because they're Serbian. But it does seem unlikely that Nico ever came to Los Santos and robbed some random guy. The Bayview Lodge is one of the most dangerous places in all of GTA 5. This is because if you wait around long enough, you will see Cougars attack and kill those who stay at the lodge. I have no idea why Cougars have beef with anyone staying there, but I can certainly relate to their circumstances. If you switch to Trevor, there is a chance that you'll see him being kicked out of the casino.
I wasn't counting cards, I was cheating.
This implies that the casino is actually open, although not accessible to the player. While it isn't clear whether or not the casino was ever meant to be accessible in GTA 5, it certainly was meant to come to GTA Online far earlier than the Diamond Casino update. We know this because in the game's files, there are cut phone calls from Lester, Martin, and Gerald that speak to this fact.
So listen, I just heard a casino opened up in town. Apparently it's pretty fun. Maybe you want to check it out. Hey, it's Lester. Listen, a new casino just opened up in town. Thought it might be something you would be interested in.
Did you hear, my friend? A casino has opened. Perhaps you should investigate. Apparently a casino opened in town. Perhaps you should investigate. Have you been to the casino? I hear it is fun and full of opportunity.
So apparently there's some casino just open.
It's impossible to say when or if these phone calls were to be used, as these lines have existed in the game's files since release. You may know that over at the Bayview Lodge in Paleto Bay, there is a statue of a lumberjack carrying a keg of beer. What you might not know is that if you shoot the keg, it'll actually leak some liquid. It is hard to say what this liquid is meant to be, as it being beer would make thematic sense because it is a keg, but why would someone have gone to the effort to put beer up there? It would be more logically sound if it was meant to be the rain that has collected there over time. When you played through GTA 5, you likely never used the baseball bat at all, as it cannot be purchased from ammunition. However, for some reason, Rockstar decided to put a pickup for us in 15 different locations around the map. There's one on top of the building near the Oriental Theatre, next to the dumpsters on the bottom right of Elysian Islands, at the garage entrance at the Maze Bank Arena, behind the North Bleachers at the park in East Vinewood, in the cage in the track in ULSA, on the porch of the foreclosed farm across the road from the Redwood Lights track, in the bathroom at the LTD in Grapeseed, behind the general store at the Bayview Lodge, by the outhouses at Hookie's, in the fitting room of the discount clothing store just south of Fort Sancudo, on the dock on the Autopia Parkway, on the roof of the house under construction in Rockford Hills, in an old wooden barn in Grapeseed, on the rock on the cliff edge at the Ultras compound, and the last bat only spawns during the mission Mr. Phillips on the stage in Stab City. Rockstar's effort to place all these pickups is even more strange when you realize that if you enter online and then return to story mode, it will be taken out of your weapon wheel. In fact, the same thing happens with the golf club and the crowbar as well. There clearly must be something overpowered about these weapons that only Rockstar knows. So that's the end of the episode. Thank you for watching. If you think you know of anything that would be of interest to this series, feel free to add it to my Discord. Especially if you know any out of bounds glitches. We used 2 an episode, so we're running out. I wish you all the best.